Let the lesson begin.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are finally out, and to mixed reception. If I'm being honest, I wasn't really looking forward to this game. The game just seemed very underwhelming in that most of the budget went into the ads for the game. Combined with the fact Pokemon Legends Arceus also came out early this year, I was just kind of Pokemon'd out. And even after beating Scarlet, I'm surprised they released it so soon. Not just because, as you've probably seen, the game is kind of a mess, but they could have ran out Legends Arceus for at least another year, if not more. They only updated the game once and they left it out to dry from there. Anyway. Scarlet and Violet take place in the Palladium region with your three starters, Weedcat, Apple Slice, and Donald Duck. And of course, we all know who the correct answer is. Donald Duck.
Scarlet and Violet.
Look, I picked Sobble and Sword and Shield because I stay loyal to my water types. That is a bond I will never break. Except for you. The game has you start in the Naranja Academy, where you learn the basics of being a Pokemon trainer. I don't know why newer Pokemon games have you go to a school to learn when this could all be done in a shorter tutorial with a few prompts, instead of this long, drawn-out tutorial. Like all new Pokemon games, the first hour is a real drag to get out of. Almost to the point you want to stop from how bad the hand-holding is. You wanted to hold my hand this bad. At least take me out to dinner first. The game is split into three segments: Victory Road, where you fight 8 gym leaders, the Elite Four, and then the champion, like your average Pokemon game, Titan Battles, where you fight Pokemon, but big, and raiding Team Star bases. In Victory Road, you have your rival Nemone. In Titan Battles, you have Arven, who wants to grab all the mystical herbs they guard. And with Team Star, you have Clive and Cassiopeia. I ended up liking all the side characters by the end of the story, which isn't something I can say for other Pokemon games. Nemone was my favorite, while Hal will always be the best rival. I really liked her character, even if she was a little too excited to watch the funny little animals murder each other. In Victory Road as well, before you fight the gym leaders, you need to do small challenges, which range from fine to annoying. I don't know why they couldn't just do a normal gym where you fight trainers, but oh well. I saw you on the slopes. Your skills? Yeah. They were pretty cool. The gym leaders also range from fine to annoying. The only good one is Larry. I like Larry. You know how in movies or shows you can tell their dialogue was just written to be reposted everywhere? Because whether it's the VTuber gym leader or the guy that does the Morbius meme, this game's writing is not very good. Titan Battles are alright, if not a little too easy, and Team Star Raids, while a really cool concept, do not work at all with the game. You send out 3 of your Pokemon to take down 30 of Team Star's Pokemon, and it runs so poorly. Your Pokemon will get lost and confused, and the game lags due to all the monos on screen. The actual battles with the leaders were fine though. The game's main selling point is the open world. Over and over again, characters mention how you can go wherever you want. And that's only half true, really. While yes, technically you can go anywhere at any time, the game doesn't scale enemies up or down. Halfway through the game, I ended up going to the gym drastically higher than I was, and thought it was the natural order to go. So I leveled up and beat the gym, only to find the gyms that I was supposed to beat, which I was way higher than.
I thought it was simply excellent. Full marks, gold star, extra credit even. Hardly had you sent out Bellybolt before you launched into your strategy. That unrelenting offense, that flurry of attacks, what an efficient way to corner the opponent. And what artfully trained Pokemon, such a vibrant palette of moves. Such a vibrant palette of moves.
I somehow managed to beat this level 60 Titan at level 40. If that's a good thing or a bad thing, I leave to you. In terms of actual gameplay, it's still Pokemon. You send one out and fight the other. Frames will dip often, but never to a point it was ever unplayable, at least for me. Whenever I entered a town, frames would just beg for mercy though. Pop-in was also a huge issue, leading me to run into Pokemon that I couldn't see. Here I am in this town, trying to evolve my Rango by walking around. This isn't good. You know how in Okami, you will run around and the flowers will appear everywhere? In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you do this. See a lot of people blaming the Switch hardware for this, and I cannot disagree more. The game is just very poorly optimized. I'm not a tech guy by any means, but if Breath of the Wild, Kirby in the Forgotten Land, Xenoblade Chronicles and even Nier Automata can run on Switch and Scarlet can't. It's Scarlet's fault. The Switch is underpowered, don't get me wrong, but clearly Game Freak is doing something wrong here. There are some other mechanics I didn't really mess around with, but still want to mention. You can feed your Pokemon food to boost stats and encounters with what is just Pixar level animation. You can go to class to learn things you already know, so that's fun. And backpedaling back to the school thing. Does anyone like the schools in Pokemon? It's always these drawn-out tutorials that take forever. And what kind of kid wants to play Pokemon and go, oh yeah, that Teddy Ursa looks really cool, but oh gee, I better head to home economics. There are also picnics, which were kinda lame. The camping mechanic in Sword and Shield was better. My other main gameplay complaint is that you can't catch Pokemon like in Legends Arceus. You have to battle to catch them, which is just a huge downgrade. I know Legends Arceus made catching more of a central mechanic, but since playing it, I just can't go back to normal catching. I know that was a spin-off game, so it's weird to think that would have influence over the main series, but still, after such a game changer, it felt like a misstep. The camera is particularly bad, keeping your Pokemon out of frame or too much in frame. When you try to catch a Pokemon, adjust the camera to this position. I don't know why it wasn't always like this. The number of trainers felt severely lacking as well. The world just felt empty, save whatever few Pokemon are regulated to spawn there. There aren't really any places of interest on the map or anything to explore outside of your destinations. Here I am trying to fly over a Team Star base and the game refuses to let me do this, so I have to walk around. There are areas to be discovered, but most of the time it will get you the same Pokemon you saw before you went there. Another gameplay shift was with TMs. You can make them now and with the parts of other Pokemon, and I'm not really a fan of this. It'd be cool as an optional thing, but personally would prefer to just buy them outright. The game just lacks polish, you can clearly see this with the footage I'm showing you. When you challenge a trainer, they do their pose, and when they lose, the camera doesn't pan back to them, but it just stays here. It feels like a mistake. And it's such an easy fix. The other main gameplay change is Koraidon, the legendary Pokemon you can ride around with. You gain new abilities by fighting Titans, and traversing with him is alright. You can glide through the air except for when the game decides, nah, you can't anymore. You can climb on walls until the game decides, nah, you can't anymore. And you can jump at 2 frames per second. The new Pokemon are great. A lot of them had really unique designs, but I couldn't help but feel new Pokemon were spread out far across the map. Thought I saw more old Pokemon consistently than new ones. Visually, the Pokemon models look the best in the series by far. And thank God they fixed Tropius. My boy has been floating for so long, he can now rest his beautiful angelic wings. Everything else, like I've mentioned, has a lot of legwork to do. I know it's an easy card to pull, but seriously, the most popular media franchise in the world looks like this. And personally, a lot of my favorite games look a bit shit by modern standards. Visuals aren't really that important to me, but this for $60 is not okay. The animations some of the time are just awful. Cutscenes are cute, but even the first one with Koraidon flying around, you can just tell it's not good. My favorite visual glitch is when you encounter a Pokemon that's low poly when it shouldn't be. The other new gameplay mechanic is Terra stylizing, which I didn't do. The animation takes too long, it doesn't seem to give that much of a stat boost, and truth be told, I wanted to see how far I could get without using it. I only used it 3 times, I think. And again, if this is a good or bad thing, I leave that to you. This also feels like the most I've ever had to grind in a Pokemon game. Now, take that with a grain of salt, because as I said, I went in a very different route than what's intended. But then again, is there really an intended route if it's open world and you advertise that you can go anywhere at any time? I was hoping that each gym leader would be given different Pokemon or team compositions based on when you fight them, but that's not the case. My other huge complaint is that the soundtrack was severely lacking. I can't remember any themes or melodies except for the Ed Sheeran song, god damn it! The only part I remember is when the 2 frames per second crowd cheers when the last gym leader's Pokemon is standing. Even though Sword and Shield was kinda underwhelming, at least the music was good and didn't have Ed Sheeran. I will be getting into story spoilers now, so if that's something you don't want to hear, skip to the time code on screen. 3, 2, 1. I was majorly disappointed in Victory Road. First off, the Elite Four interview you to see if you're worthy of fighting them, which, why are there any qualifications? I have my badges, let me fight you. They can just kick you out if you give a bad response. Then, you only fight them in this one room, which looks like the room Miss Puff gets thrown in SpongeBob. The Elite Four is supposed to be the most distinct, important aspects of the culture in that region, and this is what we get? Even in Alola, where they first developed a Pokemon League, they had something visually interesting. This is all they could have come up with? The champion fight was alright, if not slightly too easy, and then that's it. Nemone congratulates you and tells you to meet her for a fight. Her fight was actually one of my favorite parts of the game. As for me, I was slightly underleveled, so it was kind of difficult, and added to her saying, I'm going all out for once. She was my favorite character. I like the way that part of the story ended. But seriously, I beat the champion, I get no on-screen congratulations, I don't get inducted into a Hall of Fame, I don't even get a picture? Team Star, I originally thought I was gonna hate, and I kinda did. but not really. They had a sympathetic background, and the cutscenes with them are cute. That's about it. Penny is an okay character, I guess, but come on. Who didn't see that twist, if you can call it that, a mile coming? I also don't understand why villain teams in Pokemon just can't be evil anymore. Team Skull was comedic, sure, but they were a halfway decent threat. But since then, it seems like the enemy team is just a group of nerds to feel sorry for, which is fine, but personally would love to just have a villain to fight. Arvine in his story was probably the most well-rounded. It was short, and it was simplistic, and that's really it. Weird that he hid his dog from us at the beginning, like we would judge him. I initially thought he had like a messed up alien Pokemon or something, but no, he's just a chill dude that likes sandwiches, which I can respect. It was funny though, because I had 3 more gyms to fight after being the last Titan, so I challenged him, lost because he was way better than me, then hours later came back to save his mom. Area 0 ended up being really funny because everyone's like, whoa! This is amazing! It's so beautiful! And it looks like the rest of the game, which is to say bad. The moments with the 3 characters were nice, and honestly made me wish there was more of that throughout the game. The twist of the Pokemon from the past being down there felt underwhelming, as we already saw the Great Tusk Titan, so you know they existed. Really wish they leaned more into the aesthetic of Pokemon from a different world, like the Ultra Beasts and Sun and Moon, how they're relevant for most of the plot. As it stands, the past Pokemon don't really have a presence in the story, until the semi-rushed end. The fight with Sato was awesome. I love the use of the ancient Pokemon and how you had literally no idea what to expect, aside from vague hints if you knew the Pokemon. And this was the one time I Terra-styled in the game when not told to. The scripted sequence was kinda underwhelming. They should've just had this be a cutscene or a faster battle. The final cutscene was cute, but at this point I realized how weird it is there's no voice acting in these games. 3 main quests are alright altogether. Nothing that really stands out, with each being underwhelming at points. I'm in a weird spot with this game because I complained a lot about it, and it clearly isn't finished and could have used another year to develop, but I still enjoyed my time with it. I know that sounds at odds with a lot of what I said, but Pokemon is just fun. I imagine I will inevitably complete the Pokedex, be that now or somewhere in the future. As I'm editing this, I'm in the post game right now and I'm enjoying it so far. Of course, it has the same issues I mentioned earlier. This game is not worth $60. It's worth maybe 20 or 10 in its current state. If you want to pick it up, I'd say go for it, but personally I would go with Legends Arceus over this. I give Pokemon Scarlet a 6 out of 10.
But come on now. I know the real reason you watched this video. Could every Pokemon beat 1 billion lions? No. You kidding me? They just barely cracked 1,000. That's not even close to 1 billion. 1 billion is a big number, guys.